the Word of God is delivered to the many people who wrote it down is very beautiful. It's useful for study, for learning, but it also has a purpose that we don't often think of anymore because of how our Bibles are laid out. That's where Reader's Bibles come in, just like this one I have here. This is the New King James Deluxe Reader's Bible. It's laid out very simply to have as little distractions as possible, so that you can just sit down with the Word of God and read right through it the way it was written down. There are very little distractions by colorations, headings, verse markings, chapter markings, cross-references, clarifications, or anything else. When you open up this Bible, you're just going to see the words and very little else. And since the Word of God is so very special to us, they've taken the effort to put it into a beautiful binding. It's a leather-like cover that looks attractive and has gilt edges and some nice red ribbon markers. And it's just simply laid out so that you can be absorbed into the text and read the narrative without being guided or pushed in any direction at all. Let's take a little bit of a look inside. When you open the cover, you have, of course, the title page and the table of contents. And there's, of course, the copyright and Library of Congress, etc. information. A little information about the New King James itself, and then we get straight into the text, starting with the Old Testament. Here is Genesis, and each book of the Bible is got a little quotation from someone well known. There is the ribbon, which is fairly nice, but nothing premium. The right page shows the heading that you're currently in, carried over from the left page if there were any. Chapter headings or chapter numbers are very simply displayed. Verses in the gutter, just like so, every 5 verses, so they aren't obtrusive at all. Poetry is laid out in a poetic form. When we come over to somewhere like the Gospels, just about to Matthew, here we are. We'll start here. Here's a book heading, and it has a quote from a known individual, a well-known individual. They're all different people throughout the book. Here in the Beatitudes, we have a simple declaration of Jesus' teaching, which carries over to the right-hand page. And then there are what we call the Beatitudes, and they are not in red. And then we come to the very end, and there is nothing after the last of Revelation except a little note on the typeface. That's the end of the book. No distractions. While this Bible does appear to be quite thick and a little bit big, it's really not heavy. I have used this for several years, and I read primarily before I go to sleep is when I use this, and I can hold it up just like that and read, and I don't get tired out, though sometimes I will lay it down on a pillow or something. But it's not too big, and it does stay open fairly well. If you're all the way in Genesis 1:1, you might have to give it just a little bit of a tug to stay open because it's going to flop over, but you can kind of bend it down and it will stay pretty well. And that's very nice in a Bible that's designed for reading. You don't have to force the pages. And of course, at the other end of the book, in Revelation, it'll do the same thing. Now, I have been using this for several years, so it's been broken in just a little bit, but not terribly much. I'm pretty gentle with books. I try not to flex the spines too hard. So you can see that it just stays open nicely. Also in here, you will not see the words of Christ in red. I personally wish they had included those in red because I appreciate it. So over the years that I've used this, I haven't had any issues with quality of the binding. It still looks and feels very nice. It's not giving way at all. I don't see any problems whatsoever. So I think this is a very nice addition to your library, and you should probably give it a try if you're at all interested in just simple reading.